Welcome, dear students, for Become a Good Problem Solver event organized by the GEM Foundation. In this episode, we are going to see the solution for BGPS Junior problem published in December 2025. So, any problem, if we want to work in a systematic way, we follow a technique called UPER technique. This is a research proven technique which stands for understand, plan, execute, and reflect. And understanding a problem is very important because if you understand a problem, it is like half solved. So there are some four small steps that can help you understand a problem better, which will also help you tell that this is not a very tough or challenging problem and you don't know how to start working with it. So let's follow that. Underline the key terms given in the question and then asking some guiding questions yourself, which will help you work on a problem. So, in our case, we have given some guiding questions for students to work on this math problem, and you can draw, visualize, or rephrase the information better so that you can understand in simple words and look for any patterns or relationships. These are the very small steps that you can take and help yourself to understand a problem better. So let's see how we can apply that in this problem. Let's underline as we read this problem. So the shape shown is made of 13 identical rectangles. So it means 13 identical, maybe similar, right? All of them are similar rectangles and there are 13 in total. Area of the shape is 520 centimeters square. And the question is asking us to find the perimeter of the shape. So what is the shape here refers to? That is one of the important understanding that we need to know. So the shape corresponds to the small identical rectangles or the bigger shape. So this you can get clarity from by reading the question again. The shape shown is made of 13 rectangles. So it says that this is the bigger shape and it is made of 13 rectangles. Like you have around 8 in the top row and then 5 in the bottom, right? So the total area is 520 centimeters squared and they are asking for perimeter. Let's see what are the guiding questions. It says what information is needed to find the perimeter of the shape. So you know the perimeter of a shape is nothing but the boundary of the shape. So in the case of rectangle, assume that the big rectangle, this is the length and this is the breadth. The perimeter is nothing but having the boundary and that is 2 times L. There are 2 times L and then 2 times B. So 2 times L plus B is the perimeter of the shape. How the identical rectangle is placed to form the big rectangle. So how it is actually placed? Let's consider that this is the small rectangle, right? Identical rectangle. Let's consider this and then the small L for length and then breadth. So how it is actually placed? It is placed in such a way, this is L and B, that the breadth of 8 rectangles, it is actually equal to the length of the same rectangle. And how many length? 5, right? So that is actually the question is asking us to find next. That how many breadth? So if I see 8 breadth, so you can write it as maybe 8 times the breadth of this small rectangle is equal to 5 times the length of the small rectangle, right? So that is how it is placed. And then it is asking us to compare the dimensions, length and breadth of the identical rectangles and that forms a big one. So what is the relation between these two is the next question. So what is the relation? You can easily see here that if you consider this as breadth, right, and the breadth is made of 5L, correct? So the capital B is made of 5 times this length or 8 times this breadth. Both are same, right? And then capital L. So what does capital L mean here is the length of this bigger shape and that length is equal to length of the smaller rectangle and breadth of the smaller rectangle. So you know L plus B. So now this is what we have to find the perimeter, and you can find the perimeter by finding the capital L and capital B, and what is the relation we have already found. So just by knowing the length and breadth of the smaller rectangle, you can find the entire perimeter. That's the idea you have got till now. So how do you relate this area of the shape with its dimensions? Now comes an interesting question. So the area corresponds to the area of the bigger rectangle, but then how many smaller rectangles make up the bigger rectangle? Yes, so 13 smaller rectangles make up one bigger rectangle, right? So you can actually say that one big rectangle. So this is how the dimensions are made, and so the area of this shape, entire shape, is one big area of one big rectangle is equals to area of the 13 smaller rectangle, right? Small rectangles. So therefore that is actually equal to 520 centimeter square. So what you can tell immediately, so 13 rectangles, it makes 520. So what is for one small rectangle, area of one small rectangle? Yes, it is the unitary method, right? So you divide 520 divided by 13 and you get 40 centimeter square. And remember, this 40 centimeter square is the area of one small rectangle. So now you have found the area of one small rectangle. You can easily find the L and B, right? Because this is again L times B, small L times B, you can find. But then how do you find the L and B? Because there can be so many combinations of 40, like 1 times 40 is 40, right? And 2 times 20 is 40, and 4 times 10 is 40, and 5 times 8 is also 40, right? There are so many ways to get 40. So, which one I can choose? What can be the L and B is the question that you may get. So, here, Danya's answer approach was very interesting. She was telling that there are actually 8B and 5L, right? 8B and 5L. And the LCM of 8 and 5, LCM of 8 and 5 is 40. So the length, the breadth of this bigger rectangle should be 40. This is a very interesting approach of how she got that 8 times 5. But if you can't relate that 8 times 5 is 40, you can have another approach. Now think, if you take 1 times 40 is 40 and 1 is the breadth, because the breadth is actually smaller in this case, right? So think this length is 40 of the small rectangle is 40 and this is just 1, right? How many you have to keep to get in the bottom? The length is 40, 40, 40. So it will become so big rectangle. So you won't get 1 times 40 or 2 times 20 also, because you actually formed this kind of an important point in the shape. 8 times breadth is 5 times length. So if you consider in the first case, this is breadth and this is length. So is 8 times 1 is 8 times 1, is it actually 5 times 40? No, this is wrong. Let's go to the next one. Is 8 times 2, is it 5 times 20? Here L and B, no. Next comes the third one. So this will not work again. 8 times 4, is it actually 5 times 10? No. So this will also not work. And then let's come to the next one. 8 times 5. So this one. 8 times 5 is 5 times 8. Oh yeah, this works. So then you can also say that the length of this, the breadth of this entire big triangle is 40. Right, so if this is 40, you actually already found that the L and B, the L is 8 and the B is 5. So now you know entire thing to find the actual perimeter of the bigger rectangle, which is 2 times L plus B. And if you want 2 times capital L plus capital B because of the bigger rectangle, You know what is L here? L is L plus B. So you need to, L is nothing but the length of the bigger rectangle is nothing but adding the length and breadth of the smaller rectangles. That's what we understood. So 8 plus 5 is 13. And the breadth of the bigger rectangle is nothing but, here you see it is 5 times length or 8 times breadth. Both are same. So 5 times 8 you can do, or 8 times 5 you can do. Both are same, which is 40. So now you have found the length and breadth of the bigger rectangle, and the perimeter is nothing but 2 times L plus B. So 2 times 53 is 106 centimeter, and this is the perimeter of the bigger rectangle or the given shape. This is a very interesting problem with the different approaches that is being taken. This is a trial and error, but the LCM method is a very good method that one of the student Danya has submitted. So you can actually also check if your answer is correct during the reflection process by checking if your L and B actually is mapping to the area. So let's check, let's do a quick check. So if your L and B is 8 times 5, and then times 3 13, because there are 13 such rectangles. So 8 times 5 is 40, 40 times 13 is 520. Yes. So you are actually correct in terms of the dimensions. I hope you enjoy working on this problem and following the solution. This is a very important idea that you connect the different concepts and arrive at a solution by applying the UPER technique. Keep following the BGPS event for interesting problems, and do share your solutions by the end of the month. You can follow the BGPS from the website and then submit your solutions. Thank you.